On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks are playing well, but they got to make a couple of key improvements going forward if they want to be a better team. Luka Doncic's usage rate, their free throw shooting, and more. We'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
Thank you, Mavs fans.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know what's one thing the Mavs need to improve going forward. I'm sure there are none that you can think of. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, the improvement engineer, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
You know, today's a Monday, so it's a good day to talk about the number 2. You know what is cool about the number 2 right now? That's how many wins the Lakers have. And it's always a good day to celebrate the Lakers sucking. Now, they are winning at the current moment. They're beating Brooklyn. But, even if they win that, there'll only be 3 wins in that column for them. But it's always a good day to celebrate the Lakers being bad. And it's great.
Lakers' worst record since 2016, Kobe's last year and Byron Scott's last year as a coach.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, they can look forward to like a high draft pick, so that's cool.
I mean, the Pelicans can do that.
Yeah.
All right, on today's show, the Mavericks need to make some key improvements, and we have them. We have the key improvements the Mavs need to make going forward because they've been playing pretty well, I think. They're 7-5. They got some good wins. Like I went through some of their wins today. And I was like, okay. They won against Memphis, number 2 in the West. Still a good win. They dominated that game, but even just beating them is good. They beat Utah. They were number 1 in the West going into yesterday. And then Portland's number 3 in the West. So they beat the top 3 teams in the West so far. They also beat Toronto, who's 7-7 right now, but I think that team's better than that. They beat Brooklyn twice for whatever that means. And then the other one was against Orlando. Their losses have just been strange though, right? Like we've gone over some of their losses and how weird they are. Opening night, Phoenix, game winner. Mavs had a 22-point lead, 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. The Pelicans without Zion, Ingram, Herb Jones, they lost that game. OKC went into overtime. That was a weird game that they lost.
They were up by like 16 in the fourth quarter.
They had a big lead in the fourth quarter in both of those games too. Orlando and then Washington are their other 2 losses. These back-to-back really weird, just bad losses that they just had. No Paolo for Orlando, no Beal and Kristaps Porzingis for the Wizards. But Isaac, one big thing that they need to improve on, and this is like a team thing, but also a Luka thing, but also a Coach Kidd thing. Luka's usage rate has to come down. I think it's the one Mavs talking point nationally that I think everyone is talking about right now. I've heard it on a bunch of different podcasts and seen it written on Basketball News and the Ringers been talking about it, and ESPN and a bunch of other people. It's like the one big talking point. Oh, they're doing the Harden thing over and over again. Here we go. We're running this back with Luka having such a high usage rate. And yes, he's number 1 in the NBA, 38%. But how can the Mavericks and what do the Mavericks need to do to bring Luka's usage down? Or why do they need to do it?
The usage conversation is reaching like funny levels though, because just like have you had like random people that you don't talk too much about basketball with that will come to you and like, hey, how's the Mavs doing this year? Luka's usage, man, is really high. I'm like, all right, do you know what usage
what does that mean?
Is just because, to your point, everybody's talking about it. Like everybody and their brothers talking about Luka's usage. It is something they have to figure out at some point. Like you can, right now you kind of defend it a little bit if you're Dallas, saying, hey, he's super young, he's one of the best players in the world, he's the MVP, he can do this, we built our whole system through him. Like you kind of get it. Hey, look at our success over the past few years, in his first 4 years of his, career. He's already at a conference finals, been to the playoffs 3 times, all this stuff. So in their minds, they're probably looking at it saying, hey, we have a system. We just got to find the right players around it. But they got, I don't like the sustainability of it. And I think a lot of people would feel the same way about it. And yeah, I mean, you could say Dinwiddie. The easy answer is say it's not on the team. Like it's somebody that whenever they land their second star, that's when the usage might go down. But I don't think as long as the current makeup of the team like it is, I don't think they're ever going to deviate from it.
Let's put this conversation a little bit more context, I think, because Luka's usage rate right now is at 38. It had been at like 40 before the Portland game and before the weekend, before the weekend bad games and all that. It was around 40%. It's at 30% right now. Giannis is at 36.4. He's number 2 in the NBA. Embiid's at 35.7, and then Ja's at 35. So you have Luka at 38, then 36, 35, 35. So he's not handling the ball or doing things that much more than everybody else is right now. It's the way basketball is going. When you see these super high rates, you're like, oh, it's the highest rate in NBA history, or it's one of the highest rates in NBA history. That's just the way the NBA is going right now. I mean, there's 7...
Somebody's got to lead the league.
That's also true. There's 7 guys in the NBA with 32% or higher usage rate. Like, there's a lot of guys that are handling the ball that are using possessions a lot more. It's just the way that you make a better offense is if you have Luka and Giannis and Trae Young and Durant and even Lillard's at 32%. You have those guys handle the ball more and do more in the offense. And so at a certain point, you don't want to limit usage for Luka too much because you still want to have a successful offense. It's just managing it, I think. I think it's just bringing it down so it's not the 40% when he first started. That's playoff numbers. That's what he was doing in the playoffs the last couple of years and leading the playoffs in that number too. So it's just managing it a little bit. So I do think it's something they need to improve. I don't think it's this terrible, like, oh my God, this team is screwed if Luka doesn't bring his usage down. Now, the 2 games against Orlando and Washington, that's where you see the effects of Luka having this super high usage rate, and he just can't bring it every single night like that.
And it's also, I think it's easy for a lot of us and fans to just frame it on Dallas. Man, they got it. Like Luka's got to want this too, because Luka's got to be on board with it because Luka wants the ball. Like Luka wants the show to run through him. Like I know hey, Luka's played with Dragic. He's unselfish player. He is, but he also wants the ball, and so it's not just man, Luka's out here begging. He's just begging to have a lower usage, and Dallas just can't provide for him the answer. It's not just that either. It's a combo of both, and I think both of them. I don't know if we can go as far as like say blame, because it's not like it's like sucking. It's just long term. We're both worried about.
Yeah, if Luka comes down the floor and takes a quick 3, that ups his usage rate too, right? Those kind of decisions that he has to either decide, okay, is this the best shot we could get right now, or should I wait and hold that? And that doesn't take too much effort and energy from him to just walk up and take a shot like that. But we've seen that happened in the Portland game where he just walks up, 18 seconds left on the shot clock still, and he just jacks up a shot. Like, it's those kind of decisions that either coaching or with Luka, and I think it's more of Luka, like having to decide, okay, we have other options. I have Tim Hardaway can hit shots. I have Spencer Dinwiddie, who's been awesome the last couple of games. Like, I know that I can give it up to these guys. Now, the other thing is that Luka's minutes are up too. So you want to talk about it, like usage rate plus the minutes, like that compounds each other to make it worse for Luka. His minutes over his career, 32, 33, 34, 35. Now he's almost at 37 this year. So like it's raised every single year he's been in the NBA. And I think that's the number that needs to change a little bit more to like not compound this whole usage problem even more.
Luka will always be top 5 in the NBA in usage. Until the end of his career. No matter what team he's on, what city he's in, he's going to be top 5 in usage. The only thing is, can it not be an astronomical number that it's like setting all-time records? The question is, whenever they do find a defined number 2, well, what does that usage look like then? And does it,
And what other things are they doing, right? Like, who else is handling the ball? What other possessions are they creating? So, coming up, let's get into a couple more improvements the Mavericks need to make. There's one about the wings. There's one thing about the wings I think absolutely has to improve from the Mavericks point of view, and we'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. It's the best place to check out the odds and lines Let me tell you about LinkedIn. Sorry, BetOnline. Wait your turn. Wait your turn. LinkedIn is a place where you can get your jobs set up and posted for everyone. Everybody knows that every single person that works for you, if you have a small business, is essential. They have to have a usage rate that's much higher than some of the other people that work at these big corporate companies. So you have to put that much more time into that decision. LinkedIn will help you limit that time, but make it effective as well. So go to LinkedIn. They have simple tools like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Again, linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Isaac Harris. Let's talk about key improvements the Mavericks need to make. We've been talking about Luka Doncic, and the Mavericks have to lower his usage. One of the things we mentioned, I just want to give like an answer to this kind of question, is what are the things the Mavs need to do? One thing they need to do is keep trusting Dinwiddie. Like Luka trusting Dinwiddie and starting to like, all right, give the ball up in certain moments during the game, not even just late clock, but just like during different times during the game. Keep trusting Spencer Dinwiddie. He's been awesome, and he's become this incredible three-point shooter that he can be a threat on all parts of the court. Did you see that I posted the comparison between Brunson's numbers and Dinwiddie's numbers?
Yeah.
So Dinwiddie's first 12 games this season so far, he's at 18.5 points, about 5 assists, just under 2 turnovers, and he's at 14 steals so far in 12 games, which is good. Shooting really well, taking a bunch of threes, 7 threes, not taking a ton of free throws. Tony Brothers, 2.2 free throws per game, and he's started every single game. Brunson last season, for all the mystique about, what Brunson was last year, this was Brunson's first 12 games with the Mavericks last year. About 15 points, about 5 assists, 1.3 turnovers, so he turns the ball over less than what Brunson does. Only 8 steals. He's shooting pretty well. He only took 3 threes a game and 3 free throws, and he only had 2 spot starts in those first 12 games last year. So, like, Dinwiddie is replacing Brunson's production and more at this point. It's just trying to find, to me, the replacement then for Dinwiddie's role last year. So I think the last thing for taking down Luka's usage is the third ball handler, right? Like to get like a third guy somewhere that can handle the ball, and not just that Tim can score and Christian Wood can score. That's great, but it has to be a ball handler type person to take the ball out of Luka's hands just a little bit more. Not even, we're not even asking like a ton, like 35 minutes or something like that. It's just one more guy that can be trusted with the ball in his hands. And I think that all this that we've been talking about would benefit from that person.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say go after Goran Dragic, but they didn't have that.
You just bring up old podcasts we've done.
They didn't have that guy until they made a Porzingis trade last year. They brought in Dinwiddie to be the third ball handler. It worked out well. They went to the conference finals. So at some point, can they make it, who's going to be their Dinwiddie, trade this year that comes off the bench and plays that role? They need it.
It would be great if it was like a wing that could also handle the ball a little bit and defend, and that would be, that's perfect. Doesn't necessarily even have to be a point guard. I've seen a lot of like fake point guard trades. All right, give me another key area the Mavs have to improve.
I'll do one that just doesn't take a lot of time to talk about, but just free throw percentage. Right now, they are second in the league in free throw attempts per game at 26.8 free throw attempts per game.
So they're taking a lot.
They're taking a lot. Yes, second in the league in that. They're 27th in the league in free throw percentage. So you're getting to the line a lot. You're taking a lot of free throws, but you're missing a lot too. So got to get the percentage. Looking better on that. You look at just per game right now, Luka's at 75% from the line. Christian Wood is at 68%, almost 69%. And Tim Hardaway is at he's at 90%. But we don't have a ton of players that attempt. Luka's carrying the load here at 11.5 free throws a game. But after that, Dinwiddie's the one. Can we get him to the line a little bit more? He shoots at 81% from the line, but only 2.2 free throws a game. So that's the thing. They get to the line a lot in the league, but they're not shooting at a good percentage. So they could definitely improve in that.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me about this is with Dinwiddie, he's the guy, right? We thought before the season, okay, he may not be as good of a get your own shot as Brunson, but he's going to get to the line more than Brunson did because Brunson didn't really get to the line that much. I mean, like it's like 2-3 times a game. Wasn't really part of his game, but Dinwiddie can and should get to the line more. And then you had the whole monologue with him and Tony Brothers, and then he had the 8 free throw game. We're like, okay, it's getting better. And then the next couple of games, he didn't take a ton of free throws either. Even if his 3-point percentage, which is crazy right now, he's shooting like 46% from 3 on 7 attempts. Like that I don't think that's sustainable for anybody except for Steph Curry. Like if that even decreases or regresses, or if he shoots worse from 3 going forward, I think the free throws will replace it, right? Like I think he has a very natural part of his game that's going to replace that production if his 3-point percentage comes back down to earth a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks.
I knew you had some other ones, and I mean I have some other ones too. So
one of the things I think the Mavericks wings they use them a lot. They use
bone in or bone out.
Are boneless wings really wings, Isaac Harris?
They are. I'll stand by that.
Really? You think they're chicken nuggets, and that's fine. I'll eat them. That's fine.
I don't care. Sure, call them whatever you want, but I'll eat boneless wings.
Are you a boneless over bone-in wings?
It's less work.
It is less work.
Yeah.
Sometimes the work is worth it, though.
Oh, for sure, worth it. But I had some boneless wings the other night before Black Panther. It was great.
What the Mavs wings do though is they do a lot on defense, and they got to have some. They can't be playing super high minutes, and so the thing that I think the Mavericks need to do to keep improving is keep integrating Josh Green in the rotation. Like the more that they can keep integrating him, I think it has benefited the Mavericks. So Josh Green, his first 5 games of the season, 15 minutes a game. The last 7 games, the most recent 7 games, 21.5 minutes a game. So his minutes have been increasing. I've been tracking that. And now they've sort of like leveled off around like 21 minutes a game, which I think is good. So keep pushing that, keep integrating him. And what it's done with Dorian and Reggie Bullock is their minutes have decreased. First 5 games for Dorian, 35 minutes a game. Last 7 games, 31 minutes a game. So his minutes have decreased by 4, which is great. And for Bullock, he was at 33.7 the first 5 games. And then now he's only at 25 the last 7 games. Like his minutes have really decreased because of good Lord, because of Josh Green getting introduced into the rotation a little bit more. And I think it's just helped everybody because Dorian and Bullock just have to chase around the best guards all the time on defense. And I think just having one more guy, and we've seen Josh Green, I thought, did a pretty good job on Lillard the other night in certain spots.
Yeah, he did.
Where, he's super quick and can stay in front of guys. So having that third guy is so important, and to keep integrating him, I guess I don't know if they need to improve that, but just keep doing that basically.
Yeah, Dorian's like, I will decrease so that he might increase. And
thank you, Pastor Isaac.
I didn't know if you wanted to break out the acoustic, but no, I think I've been adamant about. I've really liked what I've seen from Josh Green this year, and not starting and playing 40 minutes, but let's keep him in this role. They needed a third wing that can, take some minutes off some of these guys, and
he seems to be the guy right now. I mean, there's nobody else in the Mavericks. He has to be the guy to step up. I don't think that Frank Ntilikina will get there. We saw him get introduced or did his debut, and
remember before the season when people were saying, "Hey, I think people are forgetting about Frank."
No, not people. The GM.
I didn't want to put names on it.
The GM of the team was like, "Hey,
explain yourself."
Sorry.
He was like, people forget about Frank." He said that to us in our media day interview.
I think Mark said it in some interviews too. So
Cuban.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason Kidd said it too when asked about third ball handler. Like everyone said it. Like, oh, third ball handler, who's that going to be? And they're like, well, people forget about Frank. It's like, yeah, we haven't seen him, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he's working his way back in.
Frank's played 4 minutes this year. Do we need to take a break? My timer's off, and but I have another thing they need to improve on.
First of all, incredible, like pointing out the break is coming, and then also the tease of just I have a thing coming.
Unguarded shots. I want to talk about Mavericks unguarded shots because there's a big discrepancy from last year to this year, and they need to create more of them. Coming up next.
We were getting too many compliments about the podcast recently. We had to be brought back down. We'll talk about that.
Oh, because you had 2 solo pods and we got all the compliments. I see. Everybody coming in hot, saying, "Hey, the pod's doing great." The pod's been awesome. Oh, Isaac's back, and he has it shaved.
You took that real personally. All right, we'll talk about that. Something coming up. Before we do, let me tell you now about BetOnline. BetOnline is
BetOnline,
best
baby.
place to check out the odds and lines inside and outside of sports. They got a couple of specials.
Give me something to guess.
You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Kyrie's next team, if not the Brooklyn Nets. Give me the top 3 teams.
Lakers, Knicks, Heat.
Lakers and Heat are both correct. They're 1 and 2. Knicks are 5, so they're plus 750. Number 3, guess the number 3 team.
Oh my gosh, Dallas.
The Dallas Mavericks on BetOnline are plus 400 to be Kyrie's next team. I don't think I would put any money on that one specifically, but the Lakers one
I think I'd rather trade for Westbrook.
Plus 150 is really, really interesting. That's a whole podcast right there. Would you rather trade for Westbrook or Kyrie?
I think we've done this podcast.
I think we have done this podcast before. But if you want to put money down on that or NBA games or on NFL games or college basketball games or anything like that, go check it out. It's BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into some more key improvements the Mavericks need to make going forward. We talked about Luka's usage. We talked about perimeter defense and free throw shooting and all kinds of stuff. What's another thing the Mavs need to do to improve?
So with this offense, the Dallas runs, obviously they run everything through Luka, but they generate a ton of, or at least they're supposed to, generate a ton of unguarded catch and shoot shots. So right now on those shots, according to Synergy, they are average, as we've talked about those rankings on Synergy before, and they're shooting them at 39% unguarded catch and shoot shots. They're 24th in the league in a unguarded catch and shoot shot attempts, 24th in the league. Now, they've played 12 games. The Milwaukee Bucks have played 12 games. Can you take a guess how many more unguarded catch and shoot shots the Bucks have attempted than Dallas?
Oh my gosh. Did you say how many the Mavs had attempted? You said they were
160.
You said they were 24th and the Mavs have taken 160. I'm going to say the Bucks have taken like 250 or something crazy.
220 or 221. So it's 61 more uncontested or unguarded catch and shoot shots. Do you want to take a guess at where Dallas finished last year in unguarded catch and shoot shots per game?
I'm going to say 5th.
First in the league. They're 24th in the league. And last year they finished first. This year they're averaging 13 unguarded catch and shoot shots a game. This year's 13. Last year was a little over 17. So almost a 5-shot difference in that. And going from first to 24th.
The Mavericks are taking less unguarded shots, like you said. And this is what we've been talking about in all of these games. The Mavericks are getting defended in a way that just cuts off. It's the way the Clippers defended the Mavs in the playoffs, the 2 years they played in the playoffs. Is, all right, have Luka beat us. We're going to cut off all these open shooters. The Jazz in the first round series last year were like, we don't care. Go ahead and take all the open threes. And Maxey hits 8 threes, and then all of a sudden the Mavs move on in the playoffs, right? Like, it's pick your poison in that. And teams so far, for the most part, have said, all right, Luka, go ahead and beat us with whatever you're going to do dribbling, and we'll let you have a 40% usage rate. And he's going to be great a lot of nights, and he's going to beat teams. But the Mavs do need to get more of those shots and create more of those. And we've noticed that like these guys are getting less shots. And when they get less shots, you get Bullock, who's shooting like 13% the last 6 games, right? Like if he doesn't take he takes 3 threes and misses all of them, like, you know, that's one thing. He takes 4 and makes one of them, then, you know, percentage looks a lot different.
Because, you know, I know a lot was made from Durant and Kyle Kuzma's comments, but like Kuzma wasn't wrong. Like he you know, as far as like a lot of these guys are limited. And you look at some of these, you know, a lot of the role players in Dallas, they're built for this system with Dallas I mean, how many guys we're just going to list across the, you know, roster and say, all right, I'm not comfortable with you creating a shot. Dorian, Reggie, Dwight, Josh Green. I mean, even, you know, Tim to an extent, like everybody outside of Dinwiddie and Luka. So
Christian Wood.
Yeah, Christian Wood. And so it's like, that's the type of, they got to figure out ways to generate these, get back to what they were doing last year and generate the unguarded catch and shoot shots. And I'll play the numbers. I'll play the odds that these guys will get their, you know, shooting percentages back up.
The other thing about this that I think is a little underrated is last year they were playing like they played Porzingis a little bit more at 5, and so he's the stretch 5 that stretched the floor out. And when you're stretching the floor out like this, like that, you can create more of those shots. Now, if you're playing with Dwight Powell or even Christian Wood as a pick and roll guy instead of a pick and pop, like spread the floor guy, and then JaVale, like if you're playing with JaVale at a certain point, you're not spreading the floor as much, and you're not creating as many wide open looks like that. So a little bit of it has been that. But the Mavericks didn't have enough like shot creation last year with these 3 guards at certain points. They still needed more of that or higher levels of it to be better. And so then then you remove one of them in Brunson, and you're like, all right, now we're really just scraping by to try and figure out how to create this offense. Now, all this we've said about the Mavs, they're still a top 10 offense right now. So they're still doing great things on offense. Luka's just carrying them. Dinwiddie's been great. But to make it sustainable, I think you need to create more of those shots, because that's what like half your roster is only good at on offense at a certain point.
Yeah. And once again, we're doing this whole pod on improvements. We took the team approach instead of, these individuals like, hey, JaVale, you can be better. You can improve,
Bullock,
like
hit a shot.
Let me go ahead and say my third one, because it goes with the unguarded one. Whatever we want to call these 4 guys, but the 4 horsemen, 4 whatever, I don't know what we want to call them. Dorian, Reggie, Maxey, Tim Hardaway. And I say these 4 guys because they are the top 4 on the team in unguarded catch and shoot attempts.
Yeah.
And so they're the guys who's, the benefactors to, Luka's, driving to the paint. They're getting the ball. This is their 3-point percentage right now. Dorian's at 33%.
Just on threes or on unguarded threes?
Just on threes. Not even unguarded.
Overall. Overall.
Yes. Overall. 3-point percentage. Dorian's at 33%. Tim Hardaway's at 33%. Reggie's at 29%. Maxey's at 28%. Oof. These are the guys who get the most catch and shoot shots on the team. And it's 33% to 28%, somewhere through there. Now, to give just a little glimpse into the playoffs last year, this was their playoffs 3-point percentage last year. Maxey 44%, Oof. Dorian 43%, Oof. Reggie 40%. Tim Hardaway didn't play. So I think it's a stark difference for fans right now, because we went from watching this insane playoff run of seeing all 3 of those guys shoot 40 to 44% from the 3-point line, and we're like knocked down. They're not even missing shots out here. It's insane. To oh crap, come back down to earth to start the season in the first 12 games of the year, to where they're 33 to 28%. And I just say that we're looking at ways this team can improve. These guys are going to get the shots. They're going to lead the team in unguarded or guarded catch and shoot shots on the team. It has to be better than 33% from those spots.
Yeah, the team overall has to improve on that. They also have to get a couple more looks, right? Like we were saying, it's all kind of circular in that they have to create more shots to give the guys better rhythm to create more looks and then hit them. Dorian's is interesting because I did the thing earlier about Josh Green playing more minutes, and so Dorian's been playing like 5 minutes less, or about four minutes less a game over the last 7. His 3-point percentage has went up in that. First 5 games, 26% from 3. Last 7 games, 37% from 3. Like, I think the decreased minutes has helped Dorian. It has not helped Reggie Bullock in the same way that you would hope, but I think that's helped Dorian a little bit, and he's sort of found his stroke now recently.
Yeah, he has.
My last one was just stop blowing leads.
Yeah.
That was it. I don't even really have any stats behind it, because it's just been so obvious if you've watched them that they've blown leads. Every single one of their losses, except for the Wizards game, right? They had a lead in the fourth quarter. In the Wizards game, they even had a lead early in the game. So like we can expound that to it. They had a double-digit lead at some point during the game. They've had in every single one of these games. They just keep blowing leads with, they change. It feels like this team sort of when Luka comes in or Luka's out, or when Luka's out and it's certain players and not certain players, it feels like they just play different brands of basketball in all these different iterations, and then it feels clunky. And then all of a sudden, like, it completely changes, and you're like, oh, dang, we just gave up a 10-point lead because we were trying to settle into the game and figure out how to play with the guys that were on the court right now. And so some of that is beginning of the season. Some of that is new guys on the team that are going to be hard to integrate a little bit, but just stop blowing leads.
I am. If you've been listening to this pod for a while, I'm a diehard Baltimore Ravens fan too. And I'm I'm just pulling my hair out this year because if y'all are watching the NFL, the Ravens are basically the Mavericks in the NFL in the sense of just blowing leads in the fourth quarter. And from the Miami Dolphins game to these other games to where there was this crazy stat with the Ravens to where they were only losing for like 4 minutes out of the first like 5 weeks, but they lost like 2-3 games. So crazy. I'm just going nuts right now in my sports fandom world because it feels like both of my teams just can't hold a lead. And I'm like going into the fourth quarter is like, can you just keep this thing going? But they have to figure it out. It was the Orlando game. They had 13 points in the fourth quarter. That's just, I don't know if it's a mental thing at this point. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know if it's a lineups or chemistry or just the start of the season. Whatever it is, they got to figure it out because they don't have a ton of confidence in the fourth quarter right now, fans or players.
Are you still talking about the Ravens? Or are you talking about
talking about the Mavs? Get off.
I was like, I couldn't figure out when you transitioned back from the Ravens to the Mavs and that. Here's a bonus one. Dorian has an incredible foul rate right now, 2.6%, 70 percentile. So that's like a really, really good percentage. He's not fouling a lot, basically, is that number. He's guarding some of the best players in the NBA, and he's not fouling. Bullock is at 4.7, so almost double what Dorian's foul rate is. He's in like the 11th percentile. Like, that's really bad. And Josh Green is at 4% as well. So both
Damian Lillard screwed that one over.
That was tough on Bullock and Josh. But yeah, like Bullock and Josh Green just foul a little bit less, and Dorian stay where you are on fouls. But
yeah, I mean Reggie hasn't had a good start this season. So
no. But those fouls like create opportunities and creates free throws and creates, stoppages of play. And this is how you blow leads, when you allow a team to get in the bonus, and then every foul that they make is going to the free throw line and all that. So
yeah. And these are things that we think, obviously, that we think they should improve on. There's other numbers that you can look at, and I just don't think that they should improve on those. Like, you can look at pace and say, hey, they're 30th in the league. I don't care about that. They've shown that they can be successful with that. So I'm not sitting there saying, man, they need to get up and run all the time. Some of you might. So like this is kind of opinion based too, of like what they should improve on and whatever.
Let us know in the comment section below. Which one area do you think they need to improve on? If you think it's pace, let us know in the comments why. All that, check it out in the comment section. Talk to each other. Enjoy the Raccoon Squad. It's a good community. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Now make your next listen Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reaction, big game recaps, and the take of the day, available on Odyssey, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.